Well, that certainly will help him settle. Won't have played in this sort of rugby cauldron in the past. Offered that amount of space by his scrum half. Enjoyed the time, picked his spot.
And it's so vital, isn't it? If you compare his start against Wales B on Saturday, we had a miserable pass from his scrum half. It makes such a difference to a chap commencing a game with a positive touch of the ball.
2 sevens, Michael Bryle for the Tourists, Martin Morris for Neath. There we are, pushing through. It's quite... and the penalty against Troy Coker as Paul Thorburn at last gets into opposition territory, and they'll keep the advantage at the line-out. Ryan and Blades are given the opportunity to redeem themselves for some of the shortcomings displayed at St Helens, although with McCall behind them, there'll be a more solid field for the scrum. Bryle, injured early on in Ireland, makes a first appearance here in Wales. Young Wallace has the further opportunity to gain pivotal experience, whilst Walker is again there to provide both the practical and organisational guiding hand. The captain for the day, Peter Slattery, not happy with that sort of possession, certainly. So an untidy opening then, and both sides just feeling their weight. Beneath hooker, Kevin Phillips, formerly captain of Wales, and to some extent a surprise selection for the game. Andrew Thomas has played at hooker for most of the season, but Phillips, such a vastly experienced performer. Bryle gets in front of Martin Morris. Ball so well protected again. This time that kick from Wallace, certainly not where he intended that to go. And Thorburn wanting to put pressure on opponents. Neath will drive in, and with the ball being killed and skirmishes going on yet again. An unseemly sight as they wrestle on the ground. Paul Thorburn was taken out as he kicked, and this will be interesting to see. Well, he was tripped by his own man, it seems. But then, with Blades putting his body on the line, the odd step going in on him as well, the odd boot going in, certainly wouldn't have enjoyed that experience. And Slattery being spoken to. And the first penalty would have been given against Australia for holding on to the ball. The second penalty then was for punching a retaliatory blow. So Neath yielding a fine position. All it needed was a cool head. 6 minutes gone. And Tim Wallace obviously far happier on his right foot than he is on his left foot. A replacement on tour. Enjoyed his experience on Saturday. But this again would be a whole new experience. Notice that John Eales has gone to the back. The 2 fives together, Gareth Llewellyn and John Eales. Neath really have a tall line out to try and count. That was the outside hand, which these days, of course, is illegal. There was some pushing going on as well. And indeed, the referee had a choice of 3, 4, even 5 offences going on all at the same time. That hardly wastes an inch from Paul Thorburn. Australians will remember him well. Neath claim it quickly from the line-out. McCarthy able to get Steve Williams. That's way behind the game line though. Not the place to be tackled, and of course yield the advantage at the scrum.
Interesting tactic by Neath. Obviously they're going to be throwing him very quickly into the line-outs, and against these tall Australians that's not a bad idea. But it's important, I think, that they take the ball from deep and they cross the advantage line, not get stuck behind it as they did.
Wallace, little early run for Junie. That's well tackled by Reynolds. That was forward. The referee will bring them back, but Reynolds recovered well. They seemed to be unbalanced by Junie's early little slant inside, but recovered well just to take away his ankles. But a good sign that Australia want to run the ball wide. No great difference in weight. Just a slight advantage to Australia, and indeed there won't be a great deal of difference in the weights either. The halfway line splits the scrum, and attack strength offside. John Davis and Andrew Blades. And it's a switch of positions in that Australian front row, with Blades playing at right in tight head, Blades at loose head, Ryan at tight head. Last week it was the opposite at Swansea. Quick possession, Thorburn. And outside the 22, early days, Jeff Bird, recovered well by Jason Little. Corner though, initially by Thorburn, held by John Davis. The advantage will go to Neath. And suddenly, a crowd that had been strangely silent up until now suddenly comes to life.
A tactic we've come to expect from Neath, but one that we'd understand, especially with Lloyd Isaacs and Jeff Bird in the centre. I think that kick reflects the decision in the centre for this game. But superb work, I thought, by the fullback. A lovely touch by him, and Jason Little, like a great player he is, back in support and solving the problem.
Interesting that Steve Williams packs down at number 8 in that attacking scrum. Offside. Glenn Llewellyn wears 4. His brother Gareth wears 5. And Tim Wallace again, not quite making it, and Thorburn will put it back down from where it came. And again, outside the 22, difficult times these as Bryle makes a hash of it. Neath would have been offside. Interesting that the referee doesn't penalise them. They weren't retreating. And Bryle certainly not the most confident of touches.
There is going to be a lot expected of Paul Thorburn today. He has the experience. He's captain Wales, and the Neath, especially the youngsters, will look to inspiration from Paul Thorburn. He has started the game well.
Referee deeming the scrum having turned through 90 degrees. Again, keep an eye that Andrew Kembury is playing at blindside in the attacking scrums with Steve Williams at number 8. So that this displays the greater authority that Williams has as an experienced number 8. That's finally placed into the corner by McCarthy, but Kelaher had anticipated well, and so no great gain for Neath from a good position. Neath's choice of a 3-man line-out, 3 giants there, and the 2 Llewellyns and Andrew Kembury. John Eales in the middle. He's got McCall in front and Coker behind. Just 6 men contesting the line-out. The aim is at Kembury. It's Coker that gets hands to it though. Bryle tries to stand it up, but Kembury had done so well in turning Bryle there. That was excellent work from the young number 8. Drove and turned the Australian flanker, and the ball would have been there on a plate just for the odd body to get in the way. Again, notice that he places himself on the blind side of the scrum. And the possession just spoilt a little bit as the scrum turns. Thorburn happy to keep it inside opposition territory. Although perhaps we'd expect them to drive home that advantage in a far more positive sense is something else.
A good kick by Paul Thorburn, but in saying that, I wonder if it's the right decision, because it's always giving the opportunity to Australia to win the ball back. So I was surprised then that he used the touchline. I would have thought he'd have thumped it up in the air again and had everybody chase it.
Steve Williams gets hands, Andrew Kembury gets hit for Heather Steam. Neath get lodged and drive it with Rodri Jones, and Captain Llewellyn at his elbow ready to drive it home, but the nudge forward prevents further progress. But again, interesting that Neath can win line-out ball and drive off the fringes as well. Difficult position this for Australia, with Tim Wallace poised underneath his own crossbar there as the scrum doesn't quite settle. The front rows getting up and the referee asking them to reset. Offside, over-excitement. Just not prepared to wait that vital second. Still, it's pressure on Australia, and you won't be too displeased with that at the moment. And Wallace this time doesn't go for that extra yardage. happy rather, just to make sure it goes over the touchline. David Lucifora throws in for Australia. That's Troy Coker. Again, the interchange at the back as the tall men make their presence felt. Lucifora aims at Broyle, gets down the touch to Slattery. Just about held by Martin Morris. The ball well laid back though. Bodies on the wrong side, but scrum is called, and the advantage to Australia. Not often you see a centre wearing a headband of that nature, but Lloyd Isaac is more used to playing hooker and flanker rather than centre. Very much a presence in midfield. Scrum has gone to ground. The referee allows it to go on. Again, retrieval work done by the Australians. And this time the advantage, much to the delight of the locals here, goes to the attacking side. Blade seems to be quite comfortable there. Thorburn again off Jones, happy to nurse the narrow channel, just about avoids putting a foot in touch, but can't get a great deal of height, but still in play. Rodri Jones, Lloyd Isaac. That's a good tackle by Kelaher. It was his mistake to get the ball in midfield. Neath still have it though. There's an overlap here. Steve Williams, delicately done. Depends on the bounce here, and Damien Smith covered it very well. Well, should Steve Williams have kicked it there, the big flanker was running at a disorganised defence. Still, it gains for Neath. A very good stranglehold here on Australia. Kevin Phillips has 4 tall men at which to aim. The 2 Llewellyn, Steve Williams and Andrew Kenbury. And with a line out in that position, it's the long ball favourite. Towering Gareth Llewellyn. Brian Williams is in there. They're driving over. It's half signals is given. The delight of the crowd. The try awarded. The 2 Llewellyn brothers congratulate each other. Brian Williams, I'm sure though, will be offered the try. But Neath, showing their forward power at least, gets the try.
Well, some superb work before this period of play, it must be said by Neath, but great driving play. Some traditional play by the Neath pack as we know it, and great driving and support work, staying on their feet, thus giving his colleagues a target to drive on. A superb try by Neath, and a great start for the club.
And that would have been a tremendous delight to the Neath pack as Paul Thorburn attempts to convert. Not quite there, but so often have we seen Australia using the line-out as the driving platform. There, it's done to them.
Well, it's encouraging to see Neath use the line-out as a platform. That expresses tremendous confidence on their part, and their captain doing a superb role there and winning the ball, allowing his forwards to drive forward and cross that line. A superb try.
That's excellently restarted. Slattery and Wallace getting back into midfield. The test here is for Steve Bowling. Lots of time. The fair catch call though, and awarded. Used to playing at full-back, Steve Bowling, so no real problems with the high ball. And the quick tap, and the safe touch right there.
What is great about that try as well is that Neath depends so much on their pack, and for them to score a try inspired by each other was a tremendous benefit to them at the start of the game.
17 minutes gone. Neath 5. The touring Australian team 3. But again, the line-out shortened. The aim at Eels indeed gets there as Slattery has to sell himself on the ground, which really shouldn't be asked of a scrum half. Diving over the ball is the penalty award. But Slattery would expect a greater degree of protection from some of his back row men especially. 45 metres is that distance to be covered by Tim Kelaher. Already successful with one kick at goal, and this attempt to regain for Australia the lead. Had a generally unhappy afternoon at St Helens last Wednesday. Hoping for better days today, and already with one successful kick. His side would wish this to go over, certainly. But won't quite reach there. Very close. No addition then, or no change to the score. Thorburn will have a look downfield to see whether there's an opportunity for a long restart, but happy enough to go for the traditional one, where he tries to get his forwards back into play. That's too far. Bryle receives more Neath players than he would have wished. Must get the ball away as Matt Ryan allows the odd loose foot to go in, which isn't appreciated by some of the Neath players. Well, he is. Where's three? Matt Ryan. Another of the tourist replacements, and suffered badly at St Helens last week, but here switches over the side of the scrum, goes from loose head to tight head, where perhaps he'll be happier. We have a touch judging as well, advising the referee, but it doesn't make any difference to the penalty award, just confirming the referee's suspicions or feelings that the Australians were at fault. Paul Thorburn, at the end of the first quarter, settles his side in opposition territory. Again, Llewellyn Glyn this time wins it. McCarthy, that's a towering kick. Kelaher stands his ground. That is bravery at its best. Didn't flinch, didn't take his eye off the ball, and with Bird there pressurising, it wasn't easy, and no wonder there's a relieved look on his face.
Yeah, superb kick, I thought, by the outside half as well. He deserved better, but it took a great pull back underneath that ball to secure it. I think we talked a lot about the second string talent in Australia, but this chap is a real fine Kelaher.
Well, that doesn't pressurise Australia. Taken by Little. The little handling mistake. No wonder Captain Slattery was disappointed. They had all sorts of options going for them there. The quick loose ball in midfield. Rodri Jones with the placement. McCarthy and Jeff Bird. And that's awkward because Juni anticipated well. And Australia win it. The switch from Slattery. Wallace can run it wide here. Coker finds himself in midfield. Lloyd Walker, Damien Smith. Good handling by Australia. As Wallace, the boot, that was for trampling. Sam Scott Young penalised for being blatant in his loose footwork. And the penalty goes to Australia, to Neath rather. Paul Thorburn will be the mainstay of Neath's attacking ploys today.
It's a very vigorous attack by the Australians, and it's obvious there's a lot of tension there. The Australians are under pressure, of course, and there we see Sam Scott Young going in with his boot.
Kevin Phillips. Find his man this time. Slattery. Wallace. It's all just a little bit lateral. No wonder that Wallace changes the direction. As well held by Bowling though. Does he want to attack? Happy enough. Well, he went in on the full. The try scored by Neath has been credited to Glyn Llewellyn. There were 3 or 4 of them driving over at the same time. And Glyn Llewellyn awarded the try. Again, it's a very poor ball for Peter Slattery, and that's captain as well as scrum half. He should admonish his forwards and tell them really, and indeed in no uncertain terms, tells them he wants better possession than that.
And that's one disadvantage of having a huge package. Just don't go to ground easy. We saw that against Swansea a week ago, and we're already seeing it against Neath this afternoon.
Again, Neath denied their own line-out ball. It was rather pedestrian and telegraphed. Martin Morris is in on the wrong side, and the Australians let him know in no uncertain terms that he shouldn't be there. Still survives. And again, because the ball wasn't released quickly enough, it's the Australians that are punished for it. As Kevin Phillips pops out of that line of that scrum. Doesn't happen very often. There must have been some scrum pressure coming through from the tourist there. And Tim Kelaher will strike at goal yet again, it seems. Or he hoists the high up and under. It's from 40 metres. No, it'll be the up and under. That probably is too far. No Australian could get anywhere near that, and that's not a good kick at all. Thorburn quickly takes it. He's got men free here. McCarthy ready to counter-attack, and the end product wasn't the best possible, but so quick in his vision and perception was Paul Thorburn that McCarthy was offered 10-15 metres, couldn't quite get away from the defence and thought better of it.
Well, Thorburn showing his experience, so taking advantage of the lack of alertness on the part of the Australians. Matthew McCarthy, this young house and half as well, finding touch. Finding it is the important thing, although it wasn't a long one.
15 minutes of the first half remaining. Well, there were as many Australians on Neath's side as there were Neath players on the Australian side. As Glenn Llewellyn queries. And Glenn Llewellyn is complaining about the dummy throwing in of David Nusifora. Thorburn hoisting the up and under. John Eales underneath it. Can't quite claim it. It's free ball for Juni as Little gets away. Damien Smith, the winger, not wanting to attack. Well, that's a disappointment, really. One does expect better than that from players of this class.
Absolutely, Lynn. I think Campese is the only natural ball player they've got on the wings in the Australian side. He makes such a huge contribution when he's playing, of course. But the other wingers in the party have been disappointing. They don't look comfortable with the balls in their hand.
Martin Morris and Bryle, the two sevens at the back. Andrew Kembury, 8, just gets a hand to that. Brian Williams does his customary cleaning up. Then Kevin Phillips. Now we see the front row in their usual guise. A good ball laid back for Rodri Jones. That could find a lot of space, and the bounce not quite as favourable as it was for Alan Williams on Wednesday. As the pressure mounts for Australia, as Kembury and Rod McCall make a belated entry to the line-out, having had a little skirmish way off the ball. Matt Ryan involved as well.
Well, pressure. It's only pressure. I think I've been this about. Tremendous work by Bowling, following up that kick. Kelaher there, trying to stand on his feet, but failing to. Great pressure by Neath.
The first opportunity for the players to take a breather, where some treatment required. And the crowd, as you'd expect here in the Knoll, totally partisan. Not quite the full house, the odd little space on the far side. The new stand, which is a new sight for us here. Just on the fringes, perhaps, having the odd space or two, but no lack of atmosphere here, and especially so with their favourites in the lead by 2 points. Tim Kelaher, tackled rather heavily, under pressure there, has made a full recovery. Alain Cook, the French referee, wants more light between the two lines. He's happy. Kevin Phillips is ready. The peel is on down the front. Steve Williams was there. Rodri Jones couldn't quite get the inside pass. But Steve Williams had gone on the early peel around the front. And again, Neath showing that they're thinking about ways of surmounting the Australian defence. Will we see a drive from Neath here? certainly calling for it, but it was very solid from Australia. Kept in play by Bowling. The touch judge will call them back. The touch judge on that side is Alan Lewis, who's an Irishman, has a Welsh name, but captained Ireland at cricket here at the Knoll against Wales, when in fact John Bevan, the former Welsh coach, rugby coach, was playing cricket for Wales. So he's a cricketer as well as a rugby buff, is Alan Lewis. John Eales, such a towering influence in the middle of that Australian line. And that's the platform they like, but the upper body strength, that's a late tackle from Michael Bryle, the referee. It doesn't spot it. And Australia again punches off the ball. There's offside as well. And suddenly it's not a happy sight. The players are pointing to the touch judge as well, but he's not interested at the moment. So scenes that aren't altogether comfortable here, and you can see protestations being made to the touch judge, certainly about what might have been a late tackle.
Well, dare I say it, the late tackle is a compliment to the outside half, but it certainly is. They're trying to take him out of the game because he's playing such a positive part.
There might be a word of warning to the Tories here that Neath aren't the sort of team you want to mix with. They can look after themselves quite well, and Brian Williams has a nasty looking eye there. Once the blood cleared up, he's got a cut just underneath his eye, I think. So the referee, they have to these days, make sure that the blood is cleared away, or the player goes off the field until things are cleared up. Tim Wallace has settled into that outside half role. He's only been here some 10 days. He had to settle in very quickly. The Neath 10-metre line, as you see again, the blockers moving into the gap, and then some offside play as well, as again Eales and Gareth Llewellyn, Glyn Llewellyn and Matt Ryan have a go. Andrew Kembury, Michael Bryle. I mean, you could name everyone, but as Bryle, still, it's his first appearance in Wales and wants to make his mark on it. Even Jason Little comes in from the centre, and Darren Juni. There are two ways to look at that. There were so many punches thrown, yet no one really seems to have suffered any damage.
I think we have to accept that there is a physical presence is vital in a game like this, but for this to happen is a shame. It spoils the game, and I'm more concerned for Neath, because it's important that they keep their composure. It's their day after all. Very surprising to see the Australians retaliate in that fashion also. The referee has got to sort this out soon.
Des Lamont comes in from this touchline to advise the referee as well. He will now call both captains together, I'm sure. Yes, Peter Slattery for the Tories, Gareth Llewellyn for Neath. And of course Gareth Llewellyn was involved, so it's difficult for him to tell his players to cool down. A spot of blood there, whether it's his or Brian Williams' blood, calls his players together. The penalty though was for an elbow from an Australian. It might be worth for Thorburn keeping the ball in play here, just to keep the momentum going, pressure on the opposition. So he is happy to nurse the touchline. Australians just a little bit rattled at the moment, and maintaining pressure on them is paramount.
And there is no park in Wales to impose its presence more than the Neath park. They've done it over the years, and they're continuing to do it. And they're really rattling the Australians. They spoil so well, they maraud, they're there in numbers. And their physical presence is sheer pressure indeed on the Australians. And I think these back problems in the lineouts, these fights that we're seeing, reflect the immense pressure that Neath are putting on so successfully.
The half-backs together there, a young combination that is assured of a long and distinguished future here at the Knoll. Rhodri Jones would have sat and watched his brother accomplishing great things last Wednesday. Will certainly want to emulate that. And then watching over him is Matthew McCarthy, a very talented outside half. But even caught the interest of some Irish selectors as well.
I'm sure he has. He's looking more of a composed outside-half this year than he ever has. Obviously, the experience and the faith that the Neath pack have placed on him has brought on his game. I think the selection of Rodri Jones is a compliment to Matthew McCarthy. Knowing that Rodri Jones is a passer, they prepared for Matthew McCarthy to control the game.
Again, the problems at the line-out. Free kick awarded. Slattery will want to keep the game moving. Sam Scott Young, quickly supported by Michael Broyle. Matt Ryan, standing off is Troy Coker. Released is Darren Juni. Again, so easily past his marker. Lovely balance running. Jason Little can attack ball forward. This is a great try. An outstanding try from the tourists. Breathtaking stuff with Juni just getting ghosting past 3 defenders, and then with his centre and support, well, one of the better tries we've seen this season. Gloriously done.
Well, a fantastic move here by Asole, must be said. Tremendous work by the forwards, first of all. It's the quick release from that maul that is so vital to them. Slattery sees people outside him. Troy Croker there is more than happy to release the ball. Knowing the strength outside, that's the important thing. Some bad tackling there by Lloyd Isaac. He was a little bit too enthusiastic in coming up, but Juni has looked sharp earlier in the game. He is balanced with the ball in his hands. And Little, what else is there to say? He was up in support, and the great centre he is, beating Thorburn for pace and crossing beautifully in the end.
And that's the difficult proposition facing Tim Kelaher. A metre in from the left-hand touchline. And that is an excellent kick. Well, you get a try and you get a conversion, both out of the top draw. And what better way than drive home an advantage than to do it in that fashion.
Here we see it again. Superb play by the Austrians. They move the ball so well. And there's nothing like a winger going outside his man. Jamie Reynolds won't be pleased with himself there, I'm sure. But he comes back towards the support. That's vital. And who's there? Little. He is so quick. And he crosses very comfortably in the end.
Wallace recovers very well and within the whisker of being caught, but quick enough and agile enough to get in his relieving try. Neath wanted to take that quickly, and John Eales and Sam Scott Young made their presence felt again on the scrum half, and some of the bigger Neath forwards seeking retribution. And Peter Slattery pleading with his players to keep things under control, not to let their enthusiasm get out of control. Paul Thorburn will kick it goal. So no shortage of tension here, no shortage of incident, and certainly that last try, one of the better ones you'll see this season. 40 metres is the distance facing Paul Thorburn. Certainly no problem as far as distance for him. Of course, Australians and New Zealanders will remember him well from Rotorua in 1987, when from the touchline in the very last minute he converted an Adrian Hadley try. This, though, for a penalty to Neath. Just shaves outside the post. 22 dropout as the restart. Tim Kelaher. That's nicely done, but so close to Michael Broyle. So unlucky. Good to see that he's prepared to attempt that just outside his own 22, and Broyle just missed it, and a shame as well for Neath that Kembry couldn't hold it. Andrew Blades reluctant to engage John Davis. And David Lucifora as well, having a word with the referee. Now they can engage him again. And the referee here could penalise Andrew Blades for not engaging. He's showing a reluctance at the moment. He plays on either side of the scrum. Today at loose head. John Davis was putting a little bit of pressure, and again the scrum collapses. Certainly isn't an untidy mess at the moment. Matt Ryan, David Lucifora, Andrew Blades, the Australian front row. It's far more comfortable. And Wallace, well, not picking his spot. He can only pick Steve Bowling. Does Bowling want to attack? Well, that is bravery, but Damien Smith showing good defensive capabilities, and indeed far better in defence than in attack. And again, Ryle goes in with a foot. He really is putting himself about, feels that he's missed a couple of games and wants to get back into the international reckoning. This time it's against Neath for going down too early. It could have so easily gone the other way, because Australia weren't prepared to engage, and the referee had told them, had withdrawn and said engage. So it's a problem at the moment. Wallace will keep it in play. Thorburn just outside the 22, and Steve Bowling as the supporting fullback from that far side, able to get in the relieving kick.
Well, Neath will be well pleased with this first half. The forwards have played magnificently, it must be said. They've got about the field in numbers, they've harassed, they've looked for the ball, they've chased everything. I think the one message they'll go into the second half is that they can't afford to miss any tackles at all, because these Aussies can really convert those sort of mistakes into points.
That's well won at the front. Excellent. As Little again tries to straighten the pattern of play, create midfield second phase. Horan not forcing Neath to tackle though, as Jamie Reynolds, well, just able to scramble it over the touchline. Again, the referee's whistle isn't all that audible, which must cause the odd problem or two. We can see him placing it in his mouth. We can't always hear it though. And I'm sure the players would always be able to hear it as well, with all the noise here at the moment. Lucifora gets to Eels, while Slattery for once chooses the wrong option and yields the scrum. It wasn't the place to go for someone who's barely 5'6", straight at a combination of 6'4" and 6'6". See Lloyd Isaac protecting the side of that scrum. Thorburn will be the man to get possession from here. Was an initial drive on, it's gone through very nearly through 90 degrees and charged down. That's well recovered though. Steve Williams was quick thinking. He knew that he was onside once the ball had touched an Australian. Went down on the ball and certainly saved some bother for Neath. Excellent position this for the tourists. Wallace. Lloyd Walker brings Junie into play. Neath defence was there though. Australia have to, and well, it's away. Jeff Bird with the support of Rodri Jones. Neath drive it away. Brian Williams will look for the next, and they were offside, waiting for him, and they should have been behind the last foot in that ruck, when in fact they were just fringing in front and waiting for Williams to set up the next drive. 2 minutes played of time added on for injuries as Paul Thorburn fails to find touch. Kelaher. Rodri Jones waits for this, just outside the 22, gets away from Junie but loses the ball. Junie, good recovery by Jones, just got in the ankle tap. John Davis tries to stand it up, and Brian Williams gets it away to his fullback, and again under pressure, Neath control it well. Andrew Kembry will require some treatment. It's a hand or an elbow injury. Feeling's gone for the second. A huge figure of a man is Andrew Kembry, but not always the fittest, and the times he's appeared for Neath, he's not always lasted the pace, but a gamble today, and a gamble that's paid off so far, in that the Australians haven't been able to dominate the line-out.
I think that's a very pertinent point. Kembry has been up with the pace of the game in the first half, and his very presence in the line-out has perhaps not secured great ball for Neath himself, but he's been able to hassle and prevent Australia winning ball, and that's as vital as winning ball yourself. but I'm going to keep a close eye on him in the second half, because that's where there's a danger he may be off the pace of the game, and that's when games of this nature are won and lost, unfortunately.
Brian Williams, heavily bandaged to protect that cut on his eyebrow. Broyle unopposed, Croker, Slattery, Wallace. Just the delay in the pass. And sees Gareth Llewellyn out in midfield. That's good from the captain as Brian Williams tries to spin off. Paul Thorburn next in line. Charge down. Kevin Phillips pressurises. It's all being done on the retreat by Australia. It's on its way. So well protected yet again. No option but to kick it downfield. Thorburn makes tracks back towards his own post. The bounce. Did he touch it? He couldn't have touched it. He was happy to see it go over the touchline. As Ala Cook looks at his watch. Not yet ready though to blow for half time. 4 minutes played of time added on for injuries. Neath trailing by 5 points. A try apiece, one to Glyn Llewellyn, one to Jason Little. Again, that's too far for his forwards, and Eels comfortably able to take it. His forwards then protect him. And the odd body on the wrong side means the ball isn't coming. And that's half time. Ala Cook whistles then to bring to a close proceedings. The first 40 minutes here at the Knoll, with a situation reading that Neath have 5 points, the touring Australians 10.
Well, good afternoon to you. 10-5 the Australians lead. The end of the first half, which was certainly not short of incident. It needs comment, and we're going to get that now from Alec Evans. Alec, of course, of Brisbane Mandan, who joined us in the first match of this tour. Alec, welcome again to Neath, and that was a warm welcome for the Australians, wasn't it?
Thank you, Alan. Yes, it was a tough contest in the forwards, a very good contest and an even contest. In the lineouts, I think Neath are certainly making life difficult for the Australians there, although I noticed in the last 20 minutes that Eels certainly got up and got some clean ball. The clean ball they are getting, though, they're not doing too much with, and they're making mistakes, giving away silly penalties. And, you know, Neath are niggling away and getting the penalties, and the Australians have got to settle down, or they're going to find that they're going to be lose the game through silly mistakes. But the Australian backs have certainly shown, if they get the ball out wide, that they can make inroads into downfield, and I think perhaps with the ball that they can win in the second half, they will go wide rather than try and work it through.
Well, it was Neath, the home team, who took the lead with their first try of the match after a Tim Kelaher penalty. Here it is, Alec. A good take in the line-out by Gareth Llewellyn.
Well, outstanding jump, and the other thing that Neath are excellent at is the front-on driving and mauls. They're probably as good as anybody in the world. I think that's the major part of their game, and certainly there's no team probably that would stop them that close. And, stronger in that dimension of the game.
This is the Australian try. Alec, a super try, running from Junie, wasn't it, on the wing here? Almost a touch of Australian rules.
There and then came back and stopped. And Little, which is always evident when he going wider with the ball. Neath are in trouble a little bit out wide, I think, with speed.
Okay, Alec, thanks for your comments. Second half is to get underway. Let's join Brimwell Williams and Lynn Davis.
5 points the difference. Neath behind at the moment as Paul Thorburn restarts. Again driven low, making it difficult. Bryl's hand's not quite up to it. It did go back though, which means that driving on. Slattery again dictating matters there, but offside by Neath. And Slattery wants the ball put in touch. Tim Wallace gets his first second half touch, and that's a competent one indeed. A young man who might come into the reckoning for the test match with Michael Lynagh having gone home. It'll be between him and Tim Horan. Lucifora, McCall, And Slattery exploiting the blind side, and that's excellently done. That's good play from the captain, just wanting to keep things on a tight string at the moment to get his side again going together, nice and settled. And already Neath on the defensive, quickly taken at the line out. Not 5 metres. So they go out to 15, which opens up a channel on this right-hand side for the Australians, one that Damien Smith comes into now. And worth watching to see what number 8 Sam Scott Young does from the scrum, and Slattery as well, the scrum half. Quickly off is Troy Coker, and again the front row gets up, and that's interesting. Just to try and nullify the Neath drive, the front row is standing up differently from what it did against Swansea, and this time it's been penalised. It makes it so difficult for the opposition pack to drive on when they stand up, but that's been the tactic today.
Well, it's obvious throughout the game that Neath are putting the pressure on the scrums, that's without doubt. John Davis and Brian Williams and Kevin Phillips also making their presence felt there.
Disengaging there, and that was the offence. They're not standing their ground on the scrum, and that's just as bad as collapsing. Matt Ryan was filling that gap down the halfway line. Now he's retreated. David Nusifora will throw in, with Andrew Kembry down at 3. Again, so well won by Australia, as Juni offers the attack some directness yet again. It's there on a plate for Slattery. The switch is on for Jason Little. Lloyd Walker, Damien Smith, well held by Bowling. It's all on the retreat at the moment, no headway being made. Jason Little goes into Matt Ryan. He wasn't preventing anyone tackling him though. It's there for Slattery again, and the change of tactic seems to be just a touch wasteful as Thorburn keeps it in play. Tim Kelaher also will have to keep it in play. Peter Slattery points downfield on a diagonal, but Kelaher wasn't ready for that, as McCarthy can't quite get away from Kelaher. Indeed, lands Bryle as well. And Neath will yield a scrum here, when in fact they would have wanted to clear that area.
We're just going to compliment Neath for keeping their line so well. They're not allowing Australia to cross the advantage line, but I think Matthew McCarthy's lack of left foot put him under pressure there. He couldn't get onto his right foot because of the pressure on his outside, and because of that, Australia won territory.
Steve Williams defends well, the blind side, but offside. And the kick of goal will be awarded. Rod McCall seems to be controlling things at the moment. Happy to call up Tim Kelaher. Steve Williams, we just saw wearing 6, but he's operated both at blindside and at number 8. So dual role for both himself and Andrew Kembry. Very little breeze here this afternoon affecting the kickers. It's not been a great kicking afternoon. Tim Kelaher has kicked 1 penalty and 1 conversion. His conversion was a beautifully struck kick from the touchline. Australia 5 points ahead at the moment. Kelaher here can increase that to 8. As he brings that in very nicely indeed too well, swung across the face of the goal. And Steve Bowling, again using his fullback skills, puts in the relieving kick. Some of the bigger Australian men stand out of this line-out, as Nusifora checks on his signals. Again, there's so much pushing going on. Morris tries to glean the ground ball, pushing, closing the gap, quickly taken by Slattery, but he wants it back. Again, quickly taken Sam Scott Young, Lloyd Walker, Michael Bryle, isolated for the moment. The ball is there though for the Australians. did he whistle? People will wonder. When the ball was there, it was in Peter Slattery's hands, and he will offer the ball to Neath. The advantage to Neath at the scrum, which for the tourists will be a huge disappointment. It's not an easy area to clear from here. Paul Thorburn just in front of his goal post. It's not a bad response though. Huge kick and gains a 40-metre advantage. Rod McCall and John Eales, the Australians in the line. Glyn Llewellyn and Andrew Kembury opposing them. Gareth Llewellyn has an extra scrum half and sold a huge dummy by Peter Slattery. That was a fine tackle though. Slattery there in position again. Wallace, Lloyd Walker holding it up well. Was that might have been shielding from the Australians, and Troy Coker again expressing his disappointment. There might have been some shielding in the Australian midfield there, but the referee didn't spot that. Advantage to Neath though. 90 degrees. Back to square one. Matt Ryan is the Australian tight head prop. Steve Williams was at number 8, despite at 6 on his back. And again, Paul Thorburn nurses his team upfield. It's all gone just a little quiet for Neath. Now that they trail by 5 points, the excitement was at its height when they led by 2 points. Decided advantage for the Australians at the line-out. Again, Andrew Kembury is down towards the front, wearing number 8. 3 tall men together. Still, Australia win it comfortably. Jason Little, that's his poorest option all afternoon, having scored a try. And no wonder he puts his hands on his head. That's not the sort of skills we expect from him. And he'll be disappointed. The crowd certainly disappointed. We obviously want to see the tourists running the ball. Neath's option of a 2-man line. Gareth Llewellyn is the aim. Intercepted by John Eales. It was tapped forward, according to the referee. Troy Coker looks in disbelief. That's a huge advantage, isn't it, for the Australians? Steve Williams again has control. Rodri Jones. It means there's an extra pass in there, which means that possession is very slow. And that was a late tackle. Not as late as the previous one, though, we saw in the first half. But this time, as Darren Juney and Jeff Bird get into a little tangle. Jeff Bird wanted the ball as quickly as possible, and he felt he could run in a try from there. And Juney holding on to the ball, denying him the opportunity.
Well, I think that it was certainly that is without doubt. Lack of concentration by Bryle there. The referee's conscience probably killing him from earlier in the game and awarding the penalty then to Neath.
Come on, the black!
And I mentioned that pass from the scrum from Steve Williams. It was that slowed down possession, and it allowed Bryle and Coker to get that much closer to Matthew McCarthy. From straight in front, Paul Thorburn has yet to be successful. Can he break his duck here? Chips it away. The crowd raise their voices. Neath get 3 points. They're now within striking distance. The deficit is down to 2. And we've talked in the past about taking the advantage of opportunities presented. It's only been the once they've been in opposition territory, and Neath have got 3 points for it.
It is vital to convert pressure into points, and we have to compliment Jeff Bird there. He is a good natural footballer, Jeff Bird is, and his quick seeing the opportunity when the penalty was awarded and trying to take the quick one was what brought that about.
John Davis got that, make sure that Neath didn't lose it. He protected well around him, and into position is Paul Thorburn looking for a long kick downfield. The bounce not kind for Tim Kelaher. Jeff Bird gets in a telling tackle. Junius kicks charge down. Lloyd Isaac gets it back into play. Can they keep it going? Neath have it under control. The drive on is from Williams. John Davis, the front row is there. A bulleting run from Davis. Now the ball needs to be cleaned. It's on its way for Audrey Jones. An Australian is killing it. That leg is in there preventing. Now it's on its way. Matthew McCarthy drop kick at goal. Just wide. Well, the best period yet from Neath of a concerted attacking drive. And the forwards there in course. And such a shame that it should end in disappointment.
Superb play by Neath there, great pressure. And John Davis is to be blamed a bit for not passing. There were men outside him. And if you compare how quickly the Australians release the ball in these situations to what Neath are doing now, that's why Neath failed to convert that pressure into points. The ball was too slow, too much pressure on Matthew McCarthy, and he was unable to convert.
Pressure not totally off Australia as yet from the restart. It's well placed by Kelaher though. Eales was able to get to that. Although again quickly through was Brian Williams. McCarthy will hoist a tester for Kelaher. That's not a bad kick at all. Kelaher now in trouble. Lloyd Isaac needs to stay in his field. The ball is free there. Australia's not quite sure what to do. They were coming back from an offside position. Unfortunately for them, the ball was deemed to have been knocked forward. Kelaher, a look of bemusement there, not quite sure what happened. Underneath scrum, bring pressure to bear here. Blades is down, Ryan is up, but there's offside. Rodney Jones not over-impressed with that decision. And Tim Wallace does what his players would have wished him to do, fine touch.
Rodney Jones in the first half, we were complimenting him for his endeavour, even if he was caught offside, but he was obviously in the wrong spot there. He must now discipline himself to take advantage of such opportunities.
Gareth Llewellyn with the responsibility of raising the spirits once again. His side just 2 points adrift. His brother Glyn is at 2. Andrew Pembury just behind him. That's a bad loose ball, but it was nudged forward rather than one. So the advantage at the scrum will go to Australia. The delay of the put-in. One wonders why the referee allows that. The scrum seemed square and static. Again, Matt Ryan comes out of it. Damien Smith offered no great space as Michael Bryle uses that boot of his again to release the ball. No sign of the ball coming. Sam Scott Young and Damien Smith between them. Get up.
Slattery always developing the blind side, in all fairness, and if the opportunity is there, he'll develop it. But Bryle there looking as if he was using the boot quite dangerously, but there was a Neath man lying on it. More self-control is required on Bryle's part.
And indeed, I'm sure that Smith was injured by his own man. I think it was Michael Bryle that was trying to scrape the ball away. And I think Bryle mistook his leg for a Neath player's. And there'll be some bright stud marks on that tomorrow morning. Some of the more entertaining vantage points here around the ground. That's the swimming pool over there. Fine afternoon for watching rugby. The floodlights are on, but it's not really dark here, quite bright and breezy. It was too quick for Rodri Jones. It's just in front of the forwards. Lloyd Isaac waits. Junie tapped it down to Jeff Bird. No problems for him. He wasn't offside. Works up ahead of the scene. The forwards there. It's for Jones. The switch is on. And John Davis penalised for going beyond the ruck and taking men off the ball.
Super pass by Rodri Jones there, I thought, under pressure, and a lovely kick by McCarthy as well. Jeff Bird putting pressure on. Jeff Bird, although he'd overrun it, why not make a contribution? But John Davis, unfortunately, was on the wrong side of the maul. And it's that sort of indiscipline that can mean the difference between winning and losing. They have to keep their heads in these sort of attacking situations.
Peter Slattery, the touring captain, now needs treatment. And again, the concerned Rod McCall kneels next to him, and Andrew Blades as well there, providing some support. Well, surely they can't be leaving at this point in time with the scores just 2 points apart. 16 minutes gone of the second half, and so much to play for here. Peter Slattery obviously quite shaken. And at last the chant comes at last to try and raise the Neath spirits. It's the call we've grown used to here at the Knoll.
Come on, let's get him off! Oh, get on with it!
A man with mixed feelings. Chris Bridges, the club vice-captain, not selected for this game, with Rodri Jones preferred, but a man who still has not just club ambitions but international ambitions as well. But he'll want to see his team do well, certainly, despite the fact that he's not on the field as yet. Eels again glides it to his captain Slattery. Lloyd Walker, Little, Kelaher, it's all rather telegraphed again, rather lateral as well. It's on its way though, and Lloyd Walker this time tries to change the angle of attack. Reynolds is rather isolated at the moment. He can't kick directly into touch from there. He took it back into his own 22. Not so, says the referee. Well, I'm sure that ball was picked up outside the 22. Still, gets away with it. 10-metre line in view as David Musiforo again checks on his signals. Andrew Kembry at the back. Hung there for an age. Lloyd Walker, great recovery. Michael Broyle gets up to the gain line. There are Neath hands in there handling it, which is illegal. And again, as Brindle has already said, it's important that the discipline is kept and penalties not yielded. And there, in front of the post from 40 metres, it seems to be presenting Neath with a great chance, or Australia rather, with a great chance of a further 3 points.
Yeah, I'm rather surprised that Australia are trying to develop from first base play. In saying that, they've got a flanker coming into play there to try and cross the game line. But it's quite obvious that there's a Neath hand in there, trying to win the ball, of course, and the referee seeing it and awarding the penalty. That breaks up the momentum that Neath are beginning to gain in this second half. And it is a real shame when those opportunities are not taken, because it's vital that they don't infringe and give Australia the opportunity not only to score points, but to dominate possession for long periods.
It should have been a free kick, by the way. The change in laws means that handling in the ruck means a free kick. Still, Keller has a kick at goal. Fortunately for both the referee and Neath, he misses that. They would have been sore, I'm sure, at having yielded 3 points for a transgression that should not have been a kickable offence. Five, Gareth Llewellyn, 6, Steve Williams, 8, Andrew Kembry, the big men at the back. Eels has gone towards the back as well, with Broyle just behind him, 7. John Davis has got hands on that. Brian Williams Neath try and peel it away, and Rodri Jones and Paul Thorburn together make sure that Neath advance upfield and profit from that valuable possession. He won't be happy as yet, the Australian captain Peter Slattery. We want to see the gap widen far greater than the 2 points it is at present. 10 points to Australia, 8 to Neath. Eels dominating yet again. Scott Young, the midfield thrust. Has he taken out enough defenders? Coker, the next one, taking out forwards. Neath defended well. Brian Williams somehow gets through, so does Kevin Phillips. The ball should be there for Neath. Players taking off the ball on the fringes. The penalty though against the Australian captain. Can Neath, well, normally in the old days, Slattery protests yet again. Looks to the touch judge as well, whether there's any guidance there. He's holding on to the ball as Paul Thorburn can't find touch, and that is yielding possession. And Tim Kelaher with lots of time deciding on a safety policy in calling for the fair catch. And not gaining a great deal. Still, Neath would have wanted that Paul Thorburn penalty to reach the touchline and gain for them the throw-in. Slattery has certainly had the greater possession. The aim is at Martin Morris. The claim, though, is by Michael Bryle. Again, Australia try and control it on the retreat. Nudge forward from Neath.
Neath, in all fairness, have really developed the game into that special pocket beyond the gain line. And if they could sustain that over a long period, they could really cause some problems to Australia. But Australia are composed in defence most of the time, and they're able to clear their lines more often than not.
As Paul Thorburn struggles with that, and the bounce not kind to him. Australia might want to take this quickly as well. Damien Smith was there, but thought better of it and wait for his forwards to arrive there. So a fine relieving kick from Tim Wallace. Territory has improved for Neath in the last few minutes, and it's back very nearly to even Steven, so it is level. Possession, though, still going to Australia. Call, Gareth Llewellyn, Kevin Phillips, well tackled by Damien Smith. Well, a sudden chink there as the Neath forwards drove through. Well guarded by Smith, the right winger. David Musifora was unhappy about something. They'll remember this day for quite some time. They'll remember it even more so should their favourites here at the Knoll win the day.
Well, good line-out ball by us. Well, I say good, but a bad tap that wasn't covered. Should have been covered by the prop forward. Kevin Phillips hanging on to possession, that was vital. But his opponent pushing him over the touchline. You're getting into the process.
Claims it. Again, the touch judge is in. A punch thrown, and it's against Neath. So it's such a shame that those little lapses in discipline are costing Neath dearly. Tim Wallace surely will drive this as far into the corner as possible. He's happy to nurse his forwards. The line-out is the most profitable area for them, so why not nurse the touchline? Coker comes down to 2. McCall is 4, Eales is 5. Martin Morris stands at scrum half, wanting to pounce on any loose ball won by the Australians. Unopposed by Eales, charging is McCall. Is it on its way? It is on its way, although Slattery has to delve far deeper than any scrum half should have to. But he won't mind because Neath again did a favour for him in yielding a penalty. And again, Tim Kelaher is offered a kick at goal.
Despite the fact that Australia have been given a penalty, I'm sure Slattery will be concerned they're not getting too many players to the point of contact to protect that ball. Okay, there's a penalty in this case, but they are losing ball because of that. They need to get more players to the point of contact to protect that ball. It's a skill they usually do exceptionally well, but today not so.
Tim Kelaher won't be happy to read those statistics. But here he can redeem himself to some extent. 3 from 6 would sound rather better. Are there 3 points here? That's interesting. One touch judge signalled no, the other said yes, and the referee said yes. But it would be nice to have another look at that. Of course, they don't have the same opportunity.
Well, nicely struck it seemed, but it seemed to go to the outside of the post from the angle that I'm looking at. One touch has put his flag up, the other says no, but the referee has the overriding decision.
Jason Little in midfield. Ryan finally joins in, hand releases as Jamie Reynolds has to backtrack. Can he attack here? Doesn't want to, and that's well improvised from the right winger. And indeed make sure that the throw-in isn't taken quickly by Tim Wallace either. So Tim Bryle showing that he hasn't played a great deal and just struggling towards the end of this game as we enter now the final 12 minutes of the game. The shortened line favoured by Australia. It gives them a clearer opportunity of winning the ball, just as McCall does there. Slattery then able to snipe and drive the ball as far as possible. Thorburn isolated and with no thoughts of doing anything else but getting the ball off the field. Still fails to do so, and Tim Kelaher will plant the ball as far as possible downfield. Rodri Jones stands, well, didn't get it first time, recovers well, and Paul Thorburn showing how versatile he is, and this time makes no mistake.
No mistake this time, but there has been a lot of aimless kicking in the second half by both sides. It's something we're not used to seeing by the Australians, especially in the World Cup. The continuity of play was exceptional in the World Cup, I thought, but they tend to, they kick ball away quite easy today, and I think that's a shame. And although Jamie Reynolds was actually acquired the ball, there should have been support back there looking after him instead of having the kick and giving the ball away in the line out. There's a lot of wasting of possession.
Lloyd Isaac, interesting character in that he's a hooker converted to a flanker. Started his career here, went to Swansea, returned here this season and has filled in the role at centre, of course, with Neath being so hard hit through the departures of Jason Ball and Colin Beattie. See, the breeze is there. In the second half has got up a little bit and favours Neath, if anything. And line of possession favours Australia without any doubt at all. And Hooker again presents the ball on the plate to Slattery. Just does enough to get in front of his forwards, and Hooker again shoulders arms. And possession goes to Neath. Got in front of his forwards, would have expected then them to, as a touch judge again, we're having a touch judge Des Lamont coming in and make the trek across. Interesting that Des Lamont speaks fluent French, so there shouldn't be any language barrier here. We'll talk about a punch being thrown here.
Frustration creeping in now. Neath obviously wanting to convert pressure into points and failing to. Gareth Llewellyn coming in fiercely into this maul. He's being pushed, and then the reaction of a punch.
Tim Wallace to fellow at half Matthew McCarthy. To full-back, that's a huge kick from McCarthy. Yes, the wind is now behind Neath. That was tremendous. Launched everything he had into that. So Neath are back in opposition territory. And can they build on that without yielding any penalties? Keep pressurising. That's the message. The understanding between Lucifora and his line-out jumpers has been of the highest order. McCall and Eales have dominated. Jason Little there to support. So was Bryle. difficult man to stop. On a plate for Slattery, Lloyd Walker. He could have made Neath tackle there. They were disorganised, they were on the retreat, and here he's offered Bowling and Thorburn a chance to save the day. It's probably to Australia's advantage that Lucifora, McCall and Eales are all Queenslanders, and they'd have played a great deal of rugby together, and it's very near telepathy the way they find each other. There, well, it wasn't the most tidy of lines out, and again it was because Neath were holding men down. Slattery, run it from here, or does he kick for goal? Kicks for goal, despite the fact that Kelaher hasn't had a particularly happy day. It's all rather quiet here at the Knoll, sensing perhaps that the home side just doesn't quite have it in themselves to raise their game and drive home some of the early enthusiasm they showed.
I must say the question has to be asked then also that although Neath have tried so hard in the second half, they've never actually looked like scoring, and they've never looked as if they can create a score. They look as if they're depending on Australia to make a mistake and for them to take advantage. At this sort of level, you have to create something.
%50 success rate for Tim Kelaher, and this as straightforward as he's had all afternoon. Two penalties and a conversion already to his credit. He can reach double figures here. Kelaher. And that would be close, and that comes in, no doubts from the touch judges this time. Hardly had to look at each other. That was through, that was 3 points, and now an 8-point gap. Seven minutes for Paul Thorburn and the rest of the Neath players to get back into this game. 8 points the difference. The ball is there for Kevin Phillips. We've not seen the forwards on the rampage, the normal all-black tide we've grown used to here. Brian Williams at last drives it in. Martin Morris tries to get Rod McCall out of the way. Brian Williams delays it fractionally too long, and Bowling then has no option but to hoist the Gary Owen. Underneath it is Kelaher, and again is allowed the fair catch. So saves his side by showing a great deal of courage. John Eales, though, will require some treatment.
Well, in what's been a messy game, one player more than anyone else has probably caught the eye, and that's the Australian fullback. He really has done superbly today.
Huge figure of a man. And Tim Kelaher gets the Australians to a line-out from which they'll be throwing in. They'll have to come. No. Straight out from Steve Bowling. So no real attacking options here for Neath. Content just to put pressure on the opposition. Can Gareth Llewellyn inspire his forwards to greater effort? Lucifora and McCall. Pinpoint, finding a dartboard. McCall, the early jump, the flat throw. And again, the ball is there for the captain. Wallace then. Little is there early with lots of space. No one there though as Martin Morris gets a pass away to Jamie Reynolds. Gets away from Junie. Now then, it's the chase, but very well covered. Good defending work. And that's what Nelly played. Junie recovered well there, recovered his man.
Well, Neath, I thought a little lucky there. They looked a bit lazy in defence, but the ball came to Martin Morris. He released Jamie Reynolds, and he did quite well, although the cover was back there, preventing him making much progress.
We're down to the final 5 minutes. Kevin Phillips finds Gareth Llewellyn. Jones finds McCarthy. Lloyd Isaac, a huge swerve through the middle. middle of that Australian defence. The ball handed on a plate to Brian Williams. The charge is on from the All Black side. And Rodri Jones just denied a try. It's there for Kevin Phillips. Can it be released? Paul Thorburn somehow gets it away. Steve Bowling drops the kick at goal. Not over. And again, so much pressure comes to nothing. Disappointment for Neath, but again, so good to see them mounting a meaningful attack.
Well, a great run by Lloyd Isaac. He looks like a back row. It must be said, although he's playing in the centre. Brian Williams doing superbly well. This is probably the best ruck of the game. The ball is really so quickly, but indiscipline again by Rodri Jones. Unfortunately, the ball should have gone 1 man outside him.
Kevin Phillips will have the throw in here. Neath then. In the last couple of lines out, they've won that as well, but only presented Andrew Blades the ball on the plate there. Should have been better protected.